Hey guys, this video is the first part of a series called Business Structures in Singapore. As you are aware, there are many different ways you can carry on a business. For example, a sole proprietorship, a partnership, a company limited by shares, a limited partnership, or a limited liability partnership. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the easiest and simplest way to do business in Singapore, which is the sole proprietorship. Now, a sole proprietorship is a business that can be owned and controlled by an individual, but there are no partners. This form of business structure is usually used for taxi drivers, hawkers, insurance agents, and sometimes lawyers as well. In fact, when I first started my law practice, I wasn't sure whether I would have any clients. So that's why I didn't want to spend too much to incorporate a company. So that's why I chose to structure my first law practice as a sole proprietorship. At that time in 2014, the registration fees were only $70. So it was very extremely cheap to start a law practice. And I used my home address as the registered office. Then when my business expanded, when I got more clients, I realized that this business model worked. I converted to an LLC, which is essentially a private limited company, which I will discuss in the next video. A sole proprietorship is not a separate legal entity from its owner. In other words, the debts and the losses of the business, belong to the owner. And you can get sued. If you get sued until your pants drop, then you're in trouble. Because your personal assets, like your personal bank accounts, your property, your assets, motor car, can be confiscated in the event you are sued. Sued until your pants drop. That's a very curious phrase in Singapore. You can Google it, sue until your pants drop. So, how do you start a business in the form of a sole proprietorship? Very simple. Go to the ACRA website, the Accounting Corporate Regulatory Authority website. The sublink is called BizFile. BizFile is the portal where you file all the various business-related forms. So you go to the BizFile website, and first you need to choose a name for your business. The name could be approved in a day or two, or it could take up to 60 days. Once the name is approved, you have to register the sole proprietorship with ACRA, and you have to pay the fees. The fees, if I'm not mistaken, right now is about $120. Now, what are some of the features of sole proprietorships? Well, the profits of the business belong to the owner, because there's no separate legal entity, unlike companies where the profits of the company belong to the company and it has to be dividend out or paid out as director's fees to the owner. Therefore, the applicable tax rate would apply to the owner because as his personal income, because it's not a separate legal entity. There's no corporate tax for sole proprietorships. And also, sole proprietorships do not have to audit their accounts or file annual returns with ACRA because all profits are taxed at personal level, personal taxes. What are the benefits of sole proprietorships? Well, they are the easiest and least expensive business structure to set up. As I mentioned earlier, the cost is about $120. The owner has complete control over the business affairs. There's no profit sharing. There's no dividends or whatever, unlike companies. And terminating a sole proprietorship is much easier also, unlike companies where you have to apply to strike out the company or do a winding up. Terminating a sole proprietorship is as easy as filing some forms with BizFile. There's also less compliance requirements. You are not required to file annual returns. What are the disadvantages of a sole proprietorship? Well, as I mentioned earlier, if the business gets sued, then the owner gets sued under his pants drop. He's personally liable for all the debts and judgments of the business. For example, the guy who services my air conditioners at home, his business is structured as a sole proprietorship. Although I have discussed this issue with him before, he still insists on continuing to use this structure. By way of illustration, if he installs air conditioners in a building and the installation was not done properly, the air conditioner falls on someone, or the air conditioner explodes and the victim sues the business, the owner will be personally liable. So if the plaintiff wins in the lawsuit, he can actually get a court order to seize the assets of the owner of the sole proprietorship. Another disadvantage of sole proprietorships are that they do not enjoy tax benefits. If you register your business as a private limited company, the first 3 years of your chargeable income, the first $100,000, are tax-free. The third disadvantage, low public perception because it is not a company. This is the least preferred business structure for serious businesses, as banks would be reluctant to lend you large sums of money. It is also difficult to attract investors or high caliber employees to work for you if they know that they are dealing with a sole proprietorship. So, what happens if you are already a sole proprietor and you want to upgrade to a private limited company so that you enjoy limited liability? Well, it's very simple. First, you have to reserve a name, do the same thing, reserve a name of the new private limited company with BizFile, and then you set up a private limited company with BizFile, and then you do a transfer of all the assets, customers, suppliers, whatever, to the private limited company, and voila, the sole proprietorship has been converted to a private company limited by shares. You also have to inform ACRA that the sole proprietorship has ceased trading and is now trading as a private limited company. So thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to watch the next few videos on the other forms of business structures in Singapore.